to another basketball edition of the Adrienne Ross Show. Hope you're having a wonderful day. For me right now, it is a Sunday evening and it's been a full day. And so we're going to have another light conversation. And when I say light, I mean light. Do you remember when I did the two videos, the one with Kelsey Plum and Caitlin, and I was sort of pretending that they were saying certain things to each other? That was funny. And then I did the one on the Friday night festivities of All-Star Weekend, and Aaliyah Boston and Caitlin Clark were sitting with Asia Wilson, and I was pretending that Caitlin was looking at the phone and stealing the plays for Saturday night. You know, believe it or not, there were actually people who made comments that were like, Asia doesn't have any plays on her phone. Why would you think that? Or you're lying. Caitlin's not doing that. I mean, I was just like, oh my goodness, guys, I said like at least 3 times that this was just for fun. But people, right? What are you going to say? So this is for fun. Actually, what I'm saying right now is factual, but it's fun. It's lighthearted for me on a Sunday night. It's no major big basketball talk, but it is true. I am among those people who was an avid WNBA fan back in the day, and then I went away, other than an occasional glance here or there. But as far as being an avid fan, I went away until this season. Why? Because Caitlin Clark. I wanted to follow her from Iowa over to the WNBA. It brought me back. Some of you are like that. Same story, right? You left the league and then you came back because of Caitlin Clark. Some of you have always been watching the league all this time and you're still here. And some of you are here for the first time. Like I said, I'm back. Why? Because of Caitlin Clark, the Caitlin Clark effect. But here's the deal. When I came back, I noticed some things about the league that didn't exist when I was watching all the time, when I was an avid Houston Comets fan. The language has changed. Some of the focus has changed. And so I was thinking about that. And I thought, I just want to do this, just this lighthearted video about what has changed since I was like all in before Caitlin Clark brought me back. All right. So maybe you can tell me when these things became things, because when I was in the league, they just weren't things. So let's check it out and let's talk about it just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to start with this one. Check this out.
Hello, aloha, howdy, hey y'all, and welcome to the W. Here in the W.
Okay, why did I bring this up? When I was an avid WNBA fan, before Caitlin Clark brought me back to the league this year, it wasn't called the W. It was the WNBA. And it was only the WNBA. Now you hear people say the W, the W, the W. And when I came back to the league, I'm like, when was it the W? Like, back in the day, I guess we weren't cool enough because it was just straight WNBA or Women's National Basketball Association. But they done got cool after I left, and somewhere it became the W. Welcome to the W, or when I was watching the W. So those of you who've been here throughout, maybe you can tell me when it became the W, because I found that interesting. It really did. It kind of makes me feel old when I think about how much has changed since I, was in the league again before Caitlin Clark brought me back. The W. And then some people don't say the W. They say the dub. You hear the dub. Again, back in the day, it was the WNBA. But after I came back, I'm hearing the really cool people talking about the W and the dub. When did that happen? I don't know, but it's got me feeling some kind of way, kind of old up in here. Okay, another thing that was never talked about in the W, the dub, formerly known as only the WNBA, was physicality. You probably have noticed that we hear that word all the time, all the time. You can see up here where Angel Reese was being clotheslined by Alyssa Thomas. You know what happened with Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark there. And now, no matter what, everybody always talks about physicality. It's like the word in the WNBA. Listen, back in the day, ain't nobody was talking about no physicality. Of course, we know basketball, can be physical, but it was not like the conversation. Physicality. It's like now it's like a badge of honor. Every time you turn around, they're talking about physicality, hard fouls. It's just the physicality. You have to adjust to the physicality. I've heard that word so much. You know what? Back in the day, they just kind of talked about skill and speed and quickness. I remember, I don't know how many of you like her. We've had conversations about her. We're starting to wonder about her. But Cheryl Swoops, when you talked about Cheryl Swoops, people weren't talking about physicality back in the day. They talked about how Cheryl liked to play. A lot like Cece, Cheryl Swoops was known for liking to go left. She go left, take 2 hard dribbles to the left, pull up, had the quickest release and the quickest first step, and in the open floor, extremely quick. That's what they talked about, how quick she was, how she would just release so fast, that first step, her defense, she was known for her defense. They talked about that. It wasn't just about physicality, Nowadays, there's so much talk about physicality. It makes you wonder, is it basketball or is it, something else? I don't know. But, that's the thing now. That's the talk now. That's somehow the badge of honor now. It wasn't like that. They weren't talking like that. They weren't focused like that back, when I was watching before fill in the blank. Caitlin Clark brought me back to the W. Okay. The fits. That's another thing I found fascinating. Before, they got off the bus, they went through the tunnel, they entered the gym. Or the locker room in the gym. There wasn't this whole thing about fits. Like, I'm like, fits? Fits meaning outfits, right? That's a new thing. Again, that was back when before I left and came back, we weren't cool enough, I guess, to be dealing with fits. We just kind of said, get your butt in there and play basketball. But this might be a good thing. This might be kind of the thing that draws people's attention, see what they're wearing, walking through the tunnel. And we've seen all kind of stuff. Here's an assortment of fits, of Asia Wilson. And so, we've seen a lot of people coming through that tunnel. Everybody has the camera on their fits. Some people looking really nice. Some people half dressed. Some people looking like, whatever, fill in the blank. But again, whatever you think of it, like I said, it might be good for the league, but it just wasn't something that was talked about back in the day when I was an avid fan before I came back to watching the WNBA. So that's something else new that makes me feel really aged. This I found really interesting. We hear this all the time. Give her flowers. And when I first started hearing that, as the new season was approaching, coming into the season, and then at the start of the season, I'm hearing give her flowers. I'm like, and everybody's saying it, give her flowers, give her flowers, give her flowers. You got to understand, when I used to hear that term about giving someone their flowers, giving her flowers, it was usually said, I used to hear it in church, for example, when you were honoring someone, and it would always mean that you wanted to honor them or give them their flowers, literally give them their flowers as you're honoring them while they're alive rather than when they're dead. So it was always kind of in reference to, we want to give you flowers, we want to honor you and literally give you flowers while you're alive rather than putting flowers on your grave or at your funeral when you're dead. But I came back to the WNBA and I was hearing this all the time, and I'm still hearing it all the time. And I just did this little search and I did a little screenshot. You can see all this. Got to give Cheryl Swoops her flowers. Hashtag WNBA. LA Sparks basketball, giving Candace Parker her flowers. Giving Mac her flowers. Down here, we give Diana Taurasi her flowers. Dawn Staley gives Caitlin Clark her flowers. Sabrina Ionescu gives John Cole Jones her flowers. Had to give my sis her flowers. Give Asia Wilson her flowers. Give her flowers. Hashtag Angel Reese. Hashtag Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese wants her flowers. Cameron Brink gives flowers to her draft mates. Hashtag WNBA. Like I said, that just wasn't, you didn't hear that in the league back when I was an avid fan before I came back this year, thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect. I just want to make sure y'all understand why I came back. And so, again, it was something that was said generally comparing how you act now versus when they did. Interesting hearing that everybody's saying giving her flowers. That's like the WNBA thing to say, the sports thing to say. Okay, this was new also. Business names on jerseys. Back when I was watching the WNBA in the early years, you had your little Nike sign on your jersey. You had maybe a patch sometimes for some kind of particular thing, a little patch. You never saw anybody show up and they had a whole advertising the whole business. I mean, it was your name of the team, it was your number. And now it's like, you can see here, Lily on Caitlin Clark's jersey, and then Salesforce on the bottom. And Diana Taurasi on this one, homegirl advertising everything. She's got Casino Arizona, Talking Stick Resort, Verizon. She's like a walking billboard. No, she's several walking billboards. Those things just didn't happen back before I came back to the league. Before, when I left, now I came back. You didn't see players just like representing every business you could think of. It was your team name, your number, and on the back of your jersey, your number and your last name. I came back to the league and said, where's is there any room on the jersey for the number? Just, these business names. And I guess, if they're supporting you, that's cool. I'm just saying that wasn't the case, when I was hanging out with the WNBA before. And then there's this. This really, really jumped out at me. These Cheez-It ads on the court. I saw an old tweet. I don't know when this started, but I saw an old tweet where someone said, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that there was going to be a box of Cheez-Its on the floor. Back when I was watching the WNBA before I left and then came back this season, because of the Caitlin Clark effect, you didn't have to shoot your free throw in front of the Cheez-It sign. I mean, I don't know when this started, these Cheez-It ads on the court, but I find it rather interesting. And I'm just saying, I'm just aging myself here because that just didn't exist. You didn't have to think about Cheez-Its when you were on the court. But there it is. Some of them have Cheez-It signs on the jerseys too. Cheez-It's just totally taken over. Cheez-Its everywhere. So like I said, this is just sort of like a lighthearted video. It's not any hardcore basketball thing or whatever. Somebody's going to leave a comment. It's like, I want my 10 minutes back or whatever it was, because everybody's just so friendly these days. But anyway, like I said, I just started thinking about how things have changed since the early days of the WNBA. And then I left, other than occasional watching here or there, catching games here or there, really wasn't deep into the WNBA by any stretch of the imagination until I followed Caitlin Clark, as is the case for some of you. But some of you who've been here all along, maybe you can tell us in the comments, when was it the dub and the W and give her flowers and physicality and Cheez-Its and Salesforce all over the place. And when did all this stuff happen, while I was away? So it's just rather interesting to me how things change. And it just all adds to the story, the basketball story, the journey, the history, all that other stuff. Like I said, just for me, it's Sunday night. I don't know when you're watching this, but I just wanted to point that out. Anything I missed? What else? For those of you who've been around for a while, or you were here before, left and came back, what do you notice that has changed for the WNBA while you were away before the Caitlin Clark effect brought you back? Just like to hear from you. That's all. All right. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. One thing you'll notice here, sometimes we're serious, sometimes we're X's and O's, sometimes we're just motivation. Sometimes, I'm talking about the basketball editions. Then there's all the other stuff that I do that I talk about: politics, culture, education, faith, all those stuff. But the basketball edition, we still talk about various things. Hey, by the way, before I let you go, have you gotten your Caitlin Clark t-shirt yet with the QR code that'll take you to a special video. DePoe Be Frank with the Caitlin Clark gear. If you've been around the Adrienne Ross Show YouTube channel for any length of time, you've got to be familiar with DePoe Be Frank and his YouTube channel, in which he brings us a lot of Caitlin Clark content. He also dropped a song called CC22. It's absolute fire. And now the t-shirts are available. The t-shirts that have a QR code that take you to a video of CC22. Listen, go to his website. It's justbeingfrank.company.site. You can see how it appears right there on your screen. When you go there, click shop and check out the t-shirts, which come in different colors. When you go there, make sure that you type in ARS-22T. That lets him know that you're coming to his site from my YouTube channel. DePoe Be Frank with the Caitlin Clark gear. All right, get your Caitlin Clark t-shirt and be sure you put the code there so that he knows that you're going to his site from my channel. I appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out for just a little bit of light talk. God bless you abundantly, and God willing, I'll catch you next time.